How's it going, Yankee fans? Welcome back to Fireside Yankees with your boys Alex and Ryan. If you're new to the channel, make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy this video, coming out with daily content for you guys and making sure you know everything about this Yankee team ahead of the regular season. Today we want to talk about Willie Calhoun. Willie Calhoun's a player that wasn't expected to be as good as he's been this spring, and he's kind of making a name for himself right now. He's kind of looking like he can make this 26-man roster at least, provide the Yankees an option even if they pull him out of Scranton and put him in AAA for the time being. You know, he's had a kind of up and down career, mainly because of injury, but I think that he's been pretty solid. Like, I don't think he's going to be the best defensive player. I've been calling him the guinea pig because he kind of has this interesting frame. He's not the most athletic guy in the world, but I'll tell you what, kid can freaking hit. I mean, he's 20 years old, so he's not really a kid, but he can freaking hit. And he's a lefty, so Yankee Stadium fits his profile quite well. Over 14 at-bats this spring, 4 runs, 8 hits, a homer, 3 RBIs, hitting .571 with a .625 OBP, 1.482 OPS. This is someone who has kind of went through some tough situations in his career, but he looks like he's bouncing back and he really wants this opportunity. He's not letting it go. So Ryan, what are your first impressions of Willie Calhoun and what he's done this spring, and what do you think his role could be if the Yankees do decide to include him on the 26-man roster?
Yeah, so Willie Calhoun, man, leads the Yankees in hits this spring training, which is a metric I didn't think was true at first. But no, in all seriousness, I mean, the dude has hit really well in spring training. He's someone who's, I can see where the Matt Carpenter kind of vibes are here, where it's like, oh man, this guy's signed on a minor league deal, left-handed, probably can't play defense, but he can hit. But the difference with him and Carpenter are kind of stark in the sense that Calhoun is not a guy who is patient, in the sense of like, you kind of expect, okay, DH, left-handed, probably walks a lot, probably strikes out a lot. No, he hits the ball hard. He doesn't strike out a lot, but he doesn't walk a lot either. So he's a little bit of an interesting player. As you mentioned, he's a unique build. He's a very strange player, but it's kind of in a lovable way. So when I look at Willie Calhoun, he's got pretty good raw power, right? He's registered exit velocities north of 111 miles an hour, consistently sitting in like the 65th to 70th percentile in max exit velocity. His game power isn't too far behind in terms of what we've seen in the past. We've seen him hit 21 home runs in 83 games. The issue is he's either A, not healthy, or B, not consistent, or C, both of those things. That's kind of been the issue with him over the last 3 seasons. It's just been injuries and inconsistency, right? His best year came in 2019 when he pulled the ball the most. He had a 51.2% pull percentage. He hasn't come close to that number since then. He got out in front of the baseball. He was aggressive, attacking, getting out in front, pulling fly balls. That's going to lead to home runs, right? That's how you're going to get your power. If you're not going to be doing that, you're not going to generate much power. You're not going to be able to hit a lot of home runs. And for a guy who isn't fast, isn't the most agile guy, you're going to need to rely on your power, because you're not going to be able to beat out slow ground balls. Your BABIP is going to tank from being a slower guy. And while he has pretty good raw power, his normal exit velocities, or his average exit velocities, aren't high enough for him to like overperform and have a really high BABIP either. So we're talking slow, league average exit velocities, but really good like max exit velocities. That's not a great profile for generating a high BABIP. He still can hit 250, 260. He has a good hit tool. He makes good amount of contact. He strikes out under 16% of the time, but he's going to need to figure out consistency in his swing, find that home run power, find that home run swing, because if you can do that, the Yankees are really going to like Willie Calhoun. He's going to really endear himself with this fan base. He's very hitterish. He's a guy who doesn't like to walk. He has a 90% zone contact rate. That means when you throw it in the zone, 9 out of 10 times he's making contact with it, right? So, this is a guy who has a lot of things to really like. He was a former top 100 prospect. And as you mentioned, he's 28. He turned 28 in November. I'm not sitting here to say that, 28-year-olds typically break out, but it's not like we're talking about a 35-year-old. He's still young. He's still in his physical prime. We're not too far removed from him having a big year in 2019. We're not too far removed from him being a guy who is considered a talented outfielder, a talented bat. The Giants picked him up last year, and I note that because the Giants are a very analytical organization. Look at some of the guys they've turned around: Jock Peterson, Lamonte Wade Jr. They revitalized Brandon Belt's career, Brandon Crawford, guys like that. These are not guys who were considered great power hitters before, and the Giants identified something they liked in Willie Calhoun and picked him up. That at least tells me that when the Giants and the Yankees are teams that are picking you up, that tells me that there's something tangible there that teams like. And so I'm encouraged by what he's done in the past. I'm encouraged by, the teams that have shown interest in him. I'm encouraged by a lot, and I'm of course encouraged by a strong spring training.
Yeah, I mean, look, like you said, he's a disciplined hitter, former top prospect. This is a guy who just has gone through some ups and downs, and the injuries have certainly hit him. But his plate discipline is solid. I mean, last year, he played 22 games, not a huge sample size, but only struck out a 13% rate. The most he's ever played in a single season is 83 games back with Texas in 2019. Hit 269 with a 323 OBP. 21 homers in 83 games, guys. That's pretty damn solid. I mean, if you extrapolate that over a full season, and let's say he plays 160 games, he could hit 42 homers. Of course, that's a very optimistic thing. He's not going to play 162 games. He's going to probably play more, something like 50 games, if the Yankees actually included him. He would play that Matt Carpenter role. That's kind of the entire concept here, is like, how can the Yankees find a player that replicates what Matt Carpenter did for this team last year over such a small amount of time? And of course, he had the foot injury that knocked him out. But do you think Willie Calhoun could be that guy? Like, steps in, can kind of just play a role. It doesn't have to be a defensive. Maybe like Stanton needs a day off. He can fill a DH spot and he can hit homers. Like, that's kind of what you're using him for. His bat, definitely not the most like speedy guy out there by any means. He's not the best defender out there by any means, but maybe like a fill-in DH role is something he could play. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so the way I look at it is Willie Calhoun probably can play some right field because the Yankees have shown that anyone can play right field. It's like that scene from Moneyball where Brad Pitt or Billy Bean's like, it's first base, it's incredibly easy. Anyone can do it, right? That's right field for Yankee Stadium, right? Anyone, like Matt Carpenter did it, and Oswaldo Cabrera had 9 defensive runs saved out there. Like, anyone can probably play right field at Yankee Stadium. And as you mentioned, DH, those are probably the roles. I would like to see if the Yankees could try him at first base. Not because I want to see him play first base, that probably would be a disaster, but just to see if there's anything there, right? I mean, if he's hitting, you would like to get him in the lineup. Now, the Yankees saying that they'll play Judge in left field to get Stanton in the lineup. If Calhoun, as you mentioned, what if he makes the roster and he carries this hot streak into the regular season and he's playing well and the bat is good? You don't think the Yankees are going to maybe say, let's put Judge in left field and give Calhoun a start in right field, or let's put Stanton in right field and DH Calhoun and Judge in left field, or even Judge in center field and Calhoun in right field on days that Bader's out or Bader just needs a day off, right? So they'll get creative with it. It's kind of like the infield where you're like, well, how do they have enough room for Donaldson, LeMahieu, and Torres all at the same time? They're going to rotate guys. They'll move around the lineup. One thing I really like about this team right now is that they're so versatile that, when we're looking at guys like Willie Calhoun's or Giancarlo Stanton's or, those types where like you can't play them on the field 24/7. It's not going to work. You can still roster them. You can roster multiple players like that, and you can get away with it because you have guys like Oswaldo Cabrera who can move around. Gleyber Torres is really kind of the only guy who I look at who isn't that versatile, even though I imagine if you asked him to play third base, he could. But just looking at this team as a whole, I think the Yankees can definitely fit Calhoun, even if he's just a right fielder and a DH. Never put him in left field, by the way. Just don't even try it. I don't want to see it. Just keep him in right field and DH.
Yeah, you got to make sure you don't utilize him in a place where he could be a vulnerability and a liability. So I agree with you. Willie Calhoun could definitely be in a spot where right field, easy position, just kind of fill in as a DH if you need him, if Stan needs a couple days off, whatever it might be. If there's any injuries, he could be an alternative, a supplement, kind of be that Carpenter role. Of course, they kind of rolled out Carpenter in some weird spots, including left field a couple times, and it did not look to be that great. But they wanted him in the lineup. They wanted to find ways to get him in the lineup because he was hitting so well. I mean, the guy had a freaking sledgehammer for a bat. Hopefully, Willie Calhoun, smaller kind of strike zone. He really is a pretty good hitter when it comes to like being patient, working walks. I mean, I know the sample size last year was small, but he did work a 14.5% walk rate over 62 plate appearance. So if he can maintain that, might not be a bad thing. It really helped boost his on-base percentage, which wasn't great. But still, the low strikeout rate at 12.9% definitely stands out. If he can start making better contact, he can be a solid contributor for this team. But guys, I'd love to hear your perspectives on Willie Calhoun. If you think he can make the 26-man roster, what his role would be. If you think that maybe he's just not a good fit for us, always happy to hear your opinions below in the YouTube comment section. As always, make sure to like, subscribe, and we'll catch you guys on the next Fireside Yankees episode.